Welcome to the Art Lady at Home. Today I'm going to be making a beautiful blueberry turnover. And for that I'm going to be using this phyllo dough to make it quick and easy for myself. And I'm going to be using lots of blueberries that I picked fresh this summer and froze real quick after a day of picking. Actually, I have a whole half a freezer filled with these blueberries, so I need to use them up. But I'm going to use a little bit of coconut flour. You can use any kind of flour. Almond flour is good. I love coconut flour because it's a little bit sweeter. I'm going to use a little bit of cornstarch. I'm going to throw in some flaxseed for extra protein. That's optional if you don't want to put flaxseed in. I'm going to be using some natural raw sugars here for sweetening. And then I have some pure vanilla extract. I love using vanilla in everything sweet, especially that vanilla banana ice cream I make. It's absolutely delicious. But I always get cravings for vanilla, so I'm going to use a lot of vanilla as well. And then I have some Earth Balance butter that I'm going to use to brush on my phyllo dough to get it nice and sweet and crispy. But I'm going to take this cool sprouted tofu here, and I'm going to make a sweet kind of cream with this to layer in this blueberry turnover with the phyllo dough. So we're going to use some of those sugars and vanilla in that, and that's what I have the blender out for. I'm going to go ahead and blend in that tofu to make it kind of like a cheesy spread on there. So hopefully it'll be delicious. So this is what I've got out so far, and I'm going to go ahead and get started, and I'll show you step by step as I make the blueberry turnovers. This is the ingredients that went inside the this imitation kind of ricotta cheese mixture. I used the agave nectar, a tablespoon of that, a tablespoon of pure vanilla, and a tablespoon of the turbinado raw sugar, and that sweetens it enough. I didn't want it to be overly sweet, and that was a whole package of that sprouted tofu. I did press the tofu so it wasn't so liquidy, and I got a lot of the juice out of the tofu. So it was pressed, and then I did put it in the blender, probably under a minute to blend it, just so everything is thoroughly blended through. And it's a nice texture, it's a nice thickness, and it'll go nicely inside the phyllo dough. So I'll show you how I layer that in a minute. Here is the blueberry mixture simmering. I just turned the heat off of it. What I did was I used 6 cups of blueberries because I'm going to be using both packages of that phyllo dough. And for me, if I make a mess, I'm just going to make a bunch of them. It's easier that way. I put in this 6 cups of blueberries. I put in 3 tablespoons of the coconut flour, a tablespoon of cornstarch, and a tablespoon of the raw sugar. I use the coconut flour mainly as a sweetener and a thickener. That's why I use very little sugar. It depends on your sweet tooth, how much you like sugar. But to me, I want the natural flavor of those blueberries to come through. I did put a tablespoon of flaxseed in here. If you don't like gritty, kind of nutty texture, it's kind of like seeds, like raspberry seed texture, then omit that. I put it in just for added protein, even though the protein source is really small. To me, every bit counts, so I did add that in because I have some children that are going to be eating these, but you can omit that. I did that just for the protein, but here it is simmering up, and it's thickening really nicely, and then I'm going to now let that cool while my phyllo dough crusts are thawing. And to fill the pastry, what I did was I take 4 sheets of phyllo dough, and I'm just going to really quickly just brush the edges with a little bit of this imitation butter here. And then I'm going to take some of my tofu cheese spread here, And I'm going to draw a number 1 at the very edge. And I'm not really picky on this. You know, if this is a little broken, don't worry about that. And this is probably a tablespoon of the tofu mixture. Probably a teaspoon and a half to a tablespoon. I went ahead and did a number 1. Now leave a little bit around the edges, about an inch around your edges. And then I'm going to take a few tablespoons of the blueberry mixture. And what I did was I put another cup of blueberries frozen into this mixture so that they stayed whole. They weren't crushed in the cooking process. So I have some nice big whole blueberries, and it also helped speed up the process. That's about 2.5 tablespoons of blueberry mixture. So it helps speed up the process of cooling. So that helped too. And then I end up with a lot of whole blueberries. Now I'm going to go ahead and wrap this. And what I do is I bring this over, kind of like you would wrap a burrito. And then I'm going to bring this side up. And then I'm going to bring the top side down. And then I'm going to kind of wrap. Let's see if I can show you. I wrap and I bring the edges in at the same time. Wrap. And then I'm bringing these edges over what I've already done as I wrap. That way the filling can stay in. And then I bring this over and see what once I've wrapped it, this folds over, and then I bring it down again. And then I'm going to coat everything lightly. And this is what I do with my butter. I put it in a shallow dish here, and I coat it very lightly with the butter. So I don't like my things saturated in this butter. So I keep it very, very, very light. And that's how I make my little strudels. And then I put it on a cookie sheet. I like lining my cookie sheet with some foil. And then I bake it in an almost, probably 400-degree oven. That's what I have my oven set on right now. 400 degrees. And then I'll show you what it looks like when they come out. And here is the finished product. I cooked it for about 15 minutes at a 400-degree oven until golden brown. And then I lightly dusted the top with some powdered sugar. And you can see I've already dug into this one. You want to make sure that the tofu cheesy mixture is cooked and the layers inside are nicely crispy as well. And it's a nice tart, healthy dessert right there. Bon appetit. And for an extra fun twist, my son came up with drizzling it with some chocolate syrup on top. And there is his creation here. So I hope you enjoy either way.